Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Lemire Legends, Land of 10,000 Lakes Taxidermy. If you've been following along, this is the second part in our series of mounting a dead mount rough grouse. The end goal here is to do one similar to the coyote one we have here, but the one we're going to do here, this red-faced bird, is going to go in the mouth of a red fox. So part two, in the first one we removed the main carcass, and just a word of caution here, it is going to be a little bit graphic. It is taxidermy. In this one, we are going to remove a little bit of meat, and there'll be a little bit of blood. But this is for educational purposes only. And the second part I'd like to state is we're not affiliated with any company or anything for any of our products we're using in these videos. So anyway, what you're here for, let's get started. Said second part, the main carcass has been removed. Basically what we did is we severed the legs from the carcass. Okay, and the wing bones. So what we're going to do now is we're just going to clean off a little bit of this excess meat that we had on here. And you can do that just with your fingertips, right along the edges here. Just real quick. Careful where the BB shot was right there. You don't make an extra big rip that you're going to have to fix. Just going to take care of some of that. That's one nice thing about these rough grouse. They don't really have a lot of fat. And we cleaned this bird up pretty good, so we kept the bodily fluids to a minimum on this, so we don't have to wash this and tumble this bird, which saves a tremendous amount of time. I'm just going through here quickly, and I'm just going to clean up any excess meat we have on the skin, just like that. Okay. Down into here, where we cleaned up down in this area, the shafts of these feathers are nice and clean. That's all been taken care of in video number 1. We removed the main carcass. That's all taken care of. Okay, we removed if you recall, if you watched, or if you want to catch up, follow that one. Mounting a rough grouse dead mount, obviously, again, for about the 5th time. But anyways, kind of got squirreled here on my process. But I was trying to recall, I do believe in the last one we severed these bones off a little lower than we normally do, being that's a dead mount and they're both broken from bird shot anyway. So anyways, let's get to the meat of the matter, so to speak. Oh, there's that funny humor again. But anyways, that's what you do when winter gets to be long here in the state of Minnesota, and we survive 10 months of the year when it's 40 below. Just kidding, but it seems like that sometimes. And then the other couple months are mosquito land USA. So we're doing the same thing here. We're just taking off a lot of the excess matter here that we don't need on here. That's going to bring us right into the neck area, right up in here. We're going to pull that through. Just want to get that blood out of there, so that's not on the feathers on the other side of the bird. We don't want that seeping through onto here. We want a nice neck and a nice transition when we're done. We do this dead mount, we want an extended neck so it looks more natural, like the bird is just hanging in the mouth of the predator. So that's that. Now we're going to pull a wing down. You can hang this up, you know, to get leverage and have gravity help hold this down. But the purposes of this video to get right in there, so you're up close and personal. I'm going to try and keep my big fingers out of the way, but I'm going to show you how to do this. What we're doing, just basically, you're going to take this utility knife blade, a nice sharp one again, and we're just going to clean the skin away from the meat. And you can tell where the skin is. It's got that more of a bluish color. Clean this off here a little bit too. Just going to pull some of that meat out of there. It's not critical you get all of that little bit of meat, but if it's there, I just like to, if it's easy enough to get to, easy access, take it off. Our dry preservative, which is nothing more than borax, we'll get to that in a minute. laundry soap, nice safe preserving agent. Will dry all of this right up for you and you'll have no issues. This bird is kept in a nice, clean, smoke-free environment, and it's dusted once in a while and cared for. It'll last for many, many, many years using borax as your preservative. And you can get that borax at pretty much any grocery store. It's just, it's basically a laundry soap. And you don't have to get all crazy buying the higher cost stuff that states microbial or any other stuff on it. Just traditional borax. I found out that there's not really that much of a difference in it after I'm nearly approaching, I guess if you want to call it, way back in the day, 40 years of doing this kind of stuff. I have never seen a difference over that time. So what we're doing here is we're just working this down. We got a broken bone right there. So we're going to work around that. Just want to take your time. You want to get in here and you want to just take the meat away from the skin. Okay, these wings are a little tricky. And if you ask me, this is probably the trickiest part for beginners to get through, is whether it's putting your wing wires in or just taking these the meat off of this, or severing the skin from the meat, I guess. Okay. All right, so basically what we did now is we had severed this here from the main carcass. Okay, here's our first bone, was right here. Now we're going to approach a joint right here. Okay, just like it, if you're familiar with eating chicken wings, you'll know exactly where we're at here. You got the longer bone, then you're going to have the double bone here. And this is where we're at right now, right here at the union. The two will come together. Okay. And to pull that down, you're going to have to come on the back side, and you're going to have to cut those quill feathers away from the skin. Just try to get that out of your way so you have a general idea of what I'm doing here. And I've done so many, you could just go boom, 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 and be done. But I want to show folks how to do this. Keep my fingers out of there. It's always a little bit of a trick. Like I said, if you were to hang this up right here, your fingers would be out of the way, and you could use one hand to pull down on this and one to cut. It would work a lot better. Like I said, for the purpose of the video, we're going to do it this way so I can keep the camera focused right in on what we're doing here. They call that if you're looking for a hanging support system for a bird, it's called a skinning gambrel. Gambrel, gambrel. It's really not much more than a piece of chain with a little hook on the end. And so you're trying to remove these quills and all from the bone, just like that. Now on the second set of bones here, we're about halfway through it. And just keep working around, spin your bird. Kind of get a general idea of what we're doing here. You can see all those quill feathers right there. Those are your bigger feathers on the wing. It's called these here, this set of feathers right down here on a bird, these are called your primary feathers right in this area here. And these feathers right in here, these are called your secondary feathers. So you got your primaries, and then this series of feathers is called your secondary. Okay, back to where we're just about done with this one. When we get done with this, off camera, I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna do the second wing, which is, you got the idea what we're doing here. After this, we're gonna get into the head area, And we're going to show you how to invert that. On a grouse, when you do the head area, you don't have to make a head or a neck incision. The neck of that skull of that bird will pull right through on a grouse. Other upland game birds, like a pheasant, they got a much larger skull. That won't pull down through that neck area. You have to make an incision. But on a grouse, you don't have to do that. I'll show you. We can grab that esophagus and that neck, and we can work that right up to the cavity of the bird, lower part of the base of his skull, with no problem. So we're almost done with this. You can feel, you can hear that. Those are still main quills off the main group of feathers on the wingtip out there. We're getting there. Okay, just going to keep working that around. Same thing on this side. We're just about there. Okay, you can see one bone, two bones, and you'll be able to get a little better idea of the structure of this once we strip this meat off, and that just takes a few seconds. So you go, well, okay, how far down? How do you know when you get to the end of you don't want to cut too far. How do I know when I'm about there? Well, you'll be able to feel this bone arches up this way, and this bone arches in this way, and it does the same thing. It's just basically like almost like a set of lips, actually. You got your top part and your bottom part, and when this came together, now it's going to come together down here. And that's going to be our stopping point. We're just about there. And again, just working it around real slow. And that's it. You can see where the bones come together right there. I'll stick my knife in here. I'll clean some of this meat away so you have an idea. That's it. That's where the two bones come together right there. One bone, two bone. That's as far as you really need to go. You'll start to see these tendons right here, and that's signifying that's your stopping point right there. Clean up those couple of tendons. Careful not to cut your skin. Okay, just remove those. Now this bone was broken. We don't have to worry about restoring that for a dead mount. We're just going to take all of that right out of there. We'll show you that in another video, how to do an easy, fast system to display, just kind of like this wing right here, to drop that wing down. And we rebuild this up in here to give a little bit of a body back to the bird for a dead mount. And it's a very, very effective, fast way to do this. So stick around for that one. It's tricks of the trade from somebody that's literally done hundreds of rough grouse. We're here to share that with you, and we appreciate you following along. And I really hope you like and subscribe. It really helps us out a lot. We're trying to get a whole series of videos. We're trying to possibly, if we can, I don't want to put time frame on it, but we want to post one every day on whether we're doing a fish, an upland game bird. You know, we got a series of small mammals coming up, and we just want to pass this heritage right along. Tradition of taxidermy. So what we're doing now is we're just cleaning up both sides of the bone. You could do this with a wire wheel or a bird flesher or whatever, but this is just as effective. You don't have to get it super clean. Obviously, the more meat you take off, the better. You just want to clean those bones up, just like that. And as you go, you can add the preservative, you know, just a pinch of borax to start drying some of this up so it's not so slippery to work with. But right now, this time of the year, we've got very low humidity, and things on this grouse, they will start to dry out. I mean, you can already see this right down in here. See, that started to dry already. You can hear that. The skin is starting to dry right there, just from the low humidity we have at this time of the year in the great state of Minnesota with the climate. So we don't want to put that on there yet. I want to keep as much of that skin wet as I can so that we have a nice stretch to put our body on. or inside this bird. And that's really about it right there. That's a cleaned wing bone, just like that. And that, don't worry about them tendons right there. That's going to dry up to nothing. That's not going to affect your feathers or anything in your bird. Okay. So what we're going to do now is we're just going to pull that back through carefully, just like that. You want to go in here. We're going to adjust some of these feathers. They get twisted and rolled. We just want to adjust that a little bit. So you can see where that bird shot was. That's what's going to happen. That's going to gray your bird up a little bit. There's some feather loss that took place there. And as we work that, after we put the borax on there and we put our main body back in the bird, we can preen that and work that a little bit so it'll look a little better. In places like that where you see a shaft of a feather, there's probably a couple of feathers gone there too. But when we preen this bird, we can move some of that back in and pull this over the top of that. With any luck, that'll help hide a lot of that. We're going to lose that feather too. We'll be able to hide a lot of that just like that. So anyways, last little part. We can get to the preening and the mounting process in the next couple videos. So let's just get back to what I'd stated before. We're going to get back into this head area right now. This is a wing, but I'm just going to get rid of that big chunk of meat. I don't need all that extra fluid going onto the other wing. All right, so probably from the skinning, we're going to have a twisted neck. Okay, now you can see the way the feathers lay right there. Our neck shouldn't be as twisted. We had it like this and all twisted around. You want to keep this straight. You want to keep that, avoid having that neck skin all twisted together. It makes life miserable when you try to throw your wires up through the head and you try and insert your filler. So you want to have that as straight as you can. I'm going to skin this. Try to keep this little bit of a mess here off of our neck feathers of the bird. Okay, we're going to pull this through just like that. Okay, you're going to get a hold of that. And we're just going to work this real slow with our hand. Okay, you can see we got the throat and the neck meat all together here. I'm just going to work that down a little bit, just gently with your fingers. Until we can get our fingers on there and get a bite. And we could have cut this off longer down toward the breast of the bird more, so we had something to grab onto, but I preferred to cut it short. I had to make that call because there was extra blood there. So I just want to keep that on the main carcass of the grouse. But we got it. It only took a few extra seconds. All right. What we're doing is we're just working that down. You can use a knife on this if you like, but there's no knife work really necessary. I'm just going to keep spinning this around until we get to the ears. And I'll identify those for you here in a second, what you're looking for that part of it. You can see we're starting to get hung up here. Okay, and this is where the knife comes in. This is where at the ear base is right here. You can see it's like a white. Okay, it's more like a gristle. We got bone, meat, and then there's this gristly, and there's this little cavity right here. What you do is you just pop right through that with your knife. Always staying high. You don't want to cut way back because you'll make a bigger hole than you need to. Stay high and close to the skull. Just like that. Okay, and then when you're through that, you can see the blue right here. That's the back of the eye. You can see that blue coloration. And you can do all that at one time, but it is a lot easier just to go through here, clean up some of this blood, some of this meat. Okay, do one side, come back around. Same thing, you can see it's right there. That other ear canal is right there. Okay, stay high. Okay, to get through, roll it, and then go more towards the beak now. Cut close to the skull, towards the beak. Beak is down here. And again, you can see the blue. That's the back of the eye cavity. And it's got some blood there. There was some bird shot. Thanks for sticking around. And like I said, if you don't like a little bit of graphic stuff, this is probably not going to be the part for you right here. But unfortunately, this is the nature of the beast in this game of taxidermy. This is, we're just doing this live and unedited. We're not holding anything back. We're just showing you as we go what happens. This is the world of taxidermy. Okay, there was a BB right there, and I don't want to rip that. I just want to avoid making a big hole there, so I'm just going to work that with my finger. Same thing around this side. All right, now we're going to do the eyes. Okay, just carefully. You can see there's the eye right there. That's the back part of the eye. This is where all the fluid is, right in this area here of the eye. You just want to avoid cutting into that eye if you can. You don't release that fluid all over your skin and your feathers if you can help it. Top in between the eyes, just clean that up a little bit. We're going to work around the bottom. And that's it. That's about as far as we are going to elect to take this, right to the front of the eye right there. And that's where the two parts of the beak come together. It's right here, so that's as far as we need to go. Okay, same thing on this one. And again, careful not to cut into that eye. You don't want all that fluid being released. This one looks like he took a shot right there, so a lot of it's already gone, but a piece of bird shot hit there. We want to be careful here. This eye seemed like it has been ripped a little bit, so you want to stay very close to the skull. You want to release that. Just like that. Good enough. Okay, I just got a handy dandy little screwdriver here. Paper towel. What you can just do is you can just pop these right out of there. I'm sorry for the graphic nature of it, but this is like I said, the nature of the beast. This is the name of the game. You pull that eye out just like that. Next step, you can see where the back of the skull meets the meat. I'm going to cut that right off, just like that. Clean that up, leaving that full skull intact. All right, so we have the eye cavities cleaned out. Now we're going to make a series of cuts underneath the chin area here of this bird. Okay, we're gonna take this out right here. This is where the tongue goes in. Here's our tip of our beak, right about there. You can see that's the end of the beak. So what we're gonna do is we're just gonna take this. Okay, snip. Here's one of the bones that goes right up into the one part of the bottom of the beak, and here's the other set of bones right here. Okay, we're going to come right along this side, clean that off, and then right along this side, and clean that off. Just like that, and that's going to remove our tongue. And then also at the same time, there was cotton inside the beak that was put in there from the harvest. That just keeps a lot of the blood down. It absorbs into the cotton, as you can see. That really helps keep the blood off the feathers. Now we're just going to remove a little bit of meat here, a little bit of meat right here. Okay, and we're going to separate from the skull this bone with a snip right there. I'm going to do the same thing on this side, just by the ear canal right there. And that's going to free this up right here to clean out a bunch more of this meat. Now we can get crazy on this, and you can remove a lot of meat. Like I said, you can get a wire wheel on this, a stiff bristle wheel, and you could clean this up really good. You could dip this in acetone you could spend an hour cleaning up the skull. But I've just found for commercial taxidermy that borax will dry all this right up. You won't have any problems. And that's plenty clean enough right there. The borax will dry all that right up. Just get all that little bit of meat off of there. Same thing on this one. Clean that right off. We're going to go in here and we're going to take out this chunk. Okay, like that. Now, you don't want to remove too much, because if you do, you're going to lose the structure of your head. And if you're a beginner at this, we're going to replace all this with clay. You're going to want to have an idea of what goes back where. And if you shatter all these bones and you remove too much meat off of there, you're just going to have just a blob of clay up here. And it's going to be really hard for you to get the symmetry of that head back when we pull this back through. So for beginners, I would say just leave as much of this meat. I mean, not a lot of meat on here, but you got to know when to say when. You don't want to keep picking at this until you don't have any bones or any head structure left. So that's going to be about it right there. Now we just need to reach in here and get the brain matter out of the back of the skull. Okay, so we're just going to cut on one side of the skull. You could feel where it goes from meat to the skull. Same thing on this side. We're just going to work our way around like this. This little nips with our shears. Just pull that forward and remove that. And the last thing, you just get in here and you remove all this stuff. Just scrape it clean. Just a few strokes. Clean it up the best you can. Apologies once again, but this is the graphic part of it, and you know, if it's not for you, well, you probably would have clicked off a long time ago. But if you're still with us, thanks for hanging around. We're going to show you a neat little trick here in just a couple of minutes. That's going to make this worth your time, and you're going to get some good value out of mounting your grouse. So that's it. That's pretty well as clean as we're going to get this bird. You can see we got a nice structure back to the skull. There's nothing wrong with that at all. You know, we got a little hole right there from the bird shot, one there, but that's not going to be the end of the world. So we're going to get this out of the way. I'm going to clean some of this off my fingers so we don't get this all over the feathers. We just have some simple, basically a potter's clay, a very inexpensive clay that we're going to use here for filler in the head cavity. And we are going to add a little bit of borax, just basically a laundry soap. Shake that on there. Doesn't take a lot. Now you don't have to worry if you get this on the feathers and this bird dries, it's going to fluff right off and this borax will fall right out. So I'm going to put a little bit in the neck area, just like that. Maybe to pinch right down in the brain cavity before we put a little bit of clay in here. And that's it. Now you want to do this fairly quick. You don't want to have this inverted and sit like this in your freezer for any amount of time, because what this is doing is it's going to condition your feathers and your neck on the other side and your head to go a different direction. And the quicker you can do this and get this back the other way, the better. Now you can see when we go to put this back through here after I insert my clay in here, you can see how nice and straight the skin is. You don't want it like this and try and pull it through. You're going to have a hard time. So keep it nice and straight, nice and even, just like that when we go to invert this back up and through the main part of the breast. So we got some clay here on our fingers. You don't want it real soupy. You want it to keep some consistency. A little bit firm. Just going to tuck that right up inside the cavity, just like that. A little bit right in here. Basically, we're just replacing the tongue with that part of it. You know, I know there's taxidermists, and we could spend an extra hour on this video, and this is what down the road Patreon's gonna be for, is you can actually take a grease pencil with some cardboard, and you could measure this 6 or 8 times so you knew basically how much clay to put back in here. and to get it to the size that you need. How much is not enough and how much is too much, but like I said, this is going to give you some value right here. This is going to give you an idea of what you need to do. And you'll see that in the next section of videos on mounting this grouse here down the road, not too far down in the future, of how you can get that symmetry back with just some pieces of cotton and maybe just a little bit of clay. You know, once you get this back through, you don't want to overfill this because you won't be able to get that down through the neck. Like I said, it'll be just like doing a ring neck pheasant. This gets too big and it won't go back down through here. You're going to struggle bust it. So that's basically it. Okay, we got a little clay. We filled in that eye cavity. We got the head looking really good. You know, we got pretty much a natural shape there. I'm maybe just going to put a touch more in this eye cavity right here. Just like that. And that's it. We basically got the shape of the skull. We recreated it where the meat was. Okay, so I'm going to get this out of the way. Now this can be tricky. Just take your time. Okay, like I said, you want to make sure that we're not all twisted. We're in good shape. You know, it's not all dried out. The skin isn't all dried. You can hear that. I mean, we're still pretty flexible. It's not all dry. We're just going to work this back down real slow. Okay, we're going to keep the beak together in there. We're going to go slow, just like this. Just keep working the skin back over the top of the head. Okay, and then we get fairly close. We're just going to turn this up just like this. All right, and you can see right in there, there's the beak. It's fairly exposed. You want to get both parts, the top and the bottom. You want to get a hold of that. Now this won't work if your neck feathers are all twisted and your skin is all twisted. You got to go slow. Get a hold of that right there. Just gently pull that through. Now we're having a little bit of trouble there. We have just a touch too much clay in that head, but it's going to come through. To get that through, you just work these feathers right here down, just gently. You don't want to just grab this and give it a rip because you'd lose some damage. Just take your time, just like that. Pull that through. And you can see what that did for us. You want to have this, you want to have this part of the bottom of the beak underneath this one. So we can do that at this time right now. Just work that back under there just like that. Okay. This is coming along really nice. Now we're going to have some twisted feathers here. We can just start working this back around to get those feathers just like that. They all came back right in place. You can see on the top of this, the comb of this bird. You want that pretty much centered on the top of the head. So you kind of know if your skull's in there right or not. See that? We're just about right now. We're pretty squared up on that side. Okay, now we're going to concentrate on the other side. We're trying to get these feathers here too, just to lay as natural as they can. Underneath here, that's laid out really nice. I still don't know what that was. I was kind of curious about that. There's something underneath the skin there. Must have been like a stick or something. All right, we're really going to work this now on this side here. So when we have our dead mount, this bird is probably going to be, being that this was a nicer wing, it's going to probably be the same way as this one. So it's going to be laying just like this. All right. So we want to make sure that this side, you're really not going to see that when it's up against the fox that we're going to do. You're not going to really see a lot of this over here. So we're not going to spend a lot of time on that, getting that back into shape. I mean, a little bit, but you can see there's some blood in there and stuff, but that's going to work to our advantage. We can clean a little bit of that off, but we don't have to wash this whole head, in dish soap and then have to spend 20 minutes hair drying it to get it nice. This is going to be our show side right here of that bird, and that's going to work out really nice in our next episode. So stick around for that. We're going to do assembly. We're going to show you the two types of different bodies that you can put in these birds, and the wire structure, and a few shortcuts we've learned over time to make this mount dry faster. So in commercial work, you know, you want to spend a couple of weeks waiting for this to dry. You want to try and cash in on it if you can. So stick around for that, and we appreciate watching. Thanks again.